we are due, I believe, to roll out within the next couple of weeks our first giveaway. We'll be doing at the end of this month a £50 giveaway for an Amazon voucher or the new Call of Duty game, whichever you'd prefer on whichever platform you're on. We will do either or. So please subscribe, please like, please show your love, please follow along, and please get in touch with us so we know who you are and where we can get in touch with you, because you might be the lucky winner. So, I want to start with going on about favourite movies, and I know we started this on the first ever podcast, right? But I just want to throw some out there. Have you watched all the Rocky movies?
I haven't watched any of them. Wait, have I?
Rocky movies.
No, I know the music. No, I haven't.
Oh, right. Let me tell you. Stick it on your binge watch list. Rocky 1 to Rocky 3. No, you could put Rocky 4 in there as well. Rocky 1 to Rocky 4. No, honestly, they're so good. They give you some right motivational stuff. I'm telling you now, like, some of the best quote ever comes from Rocky Balboa, the movie. Right.
And what's the best quote ever?
The best quote ever is, "Life ain't always sunshine and rainbows. It ain't about how hard you get hit, it's how many hits you can take and keep moving forward. And you don't make excuses for all the things that you do wrong in life, because that ain't you." I don't know.
You're just going to quote the entire film. So, talking about movie quotes real quick, my favourite one, if you can name where this is from, I'll give you a tenner.
Well then.
So, sometimes people stumble and lose their way, but it doesn't mean they're lost forever.
Hannah Montana.
Who said it and where's it from? No.
I just thought you love Hannah Montana. I thought it'd just be a straight up thing.
No.
I don't know. Where's it from?
Professor X says it.
Wow. Just because you're a flipping X-Men fan.
I'm really disappointed. I wouldn't say fan. Like, First Class was incredible. And then, like, X-Men was fine. X2, I think it was. That's the one where they take... Is that where Rogue comes in? Or is that the first one?
You know what? I think I've only watched the first X-Men. That's it.
Well, the worst movie quote is also in the X-Men. And it's Storm who says it, right? And she strikes that Toad guy with lightning, right? And she goes, "Do you know what happens to a toad when he's struck by lightning?" And you're like, "Oh, what happens? Go on, sassy bitch, give us something good." And she goes, "The same thing that happens to everything else." Who the fuck wrote that line?
Dead.
The same thing that happens to everyone else or everything else. Like, what? Huh?
Don't you think it's interesting how Ryan Reynolds played the world's shittest Deadpool in X-Men, and then played the world's best Deadpool when they actually let him do his own movie?
Yeah, so he cameoed, didn't he? Was it X-Men? It was Wolverine Origins, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He did like a little cameo.
Yeah, as Wayne Wilson. And they sewed his mouth shut and stuff. It was so bad. It was so bad. But it's like at the end of Deadpool 1, where he then goes back and kills himself, that version of himself, as he flicks. Oh no, it's number 2, where he flicks back in time, and he starts going through, and then he goes to Adolf Hitler's baby, and he says, "This is going to be a tough one."
Okay, so I only watched the second one once, and I didn't think it was that great at the time, but I feel like I definitely need to give it another go, because the first one was amazing.
You do, because they are funny. In all seriousness, they are funny films. It's not like super serious superhero film, like, I don't know, an Iron Man or a Captain America would be, or even like the X-Men. But it is such a great movie, because there's still the action side, which you like from a Marvel movie, whilst then at the same time, you get in, action, humour, a mixture of everything.
Have you got a dog in your house?
There's a dog. Gonna have to cut this bit. The video is just gonna go. Movie magic. Anyway, my point is Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool is so good because you're getting the action that you want out of a normal Marvel film, whilst at the same time you're getting like the comedic aspect of a good comedy. And he breaks the fourth wall, so he like talks to you as a person, which is the bit that's really funny, and it makes everyone laugh because in no other film does that happen, and especially superhero films. It's like no.
Well, didn't they take the idea from, was it Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Like that little bit at the end?
Yeah, that bit at the end is
Like where
that's
they
the
introduce
number one.
people. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it was good. But I remember finding the first one just really funny,
was really
and I was like,
good.
"Oh, Mom, you've got to watch this film. It's like it's just hilarious." Bearing in mind, she knows nothing about Marvel, doesn't do that kind of stuff, and she was like, "Really, like, oh, I don't want to watch it." And I was like, "No, trust me, it's great. You're gonna have to." Made her watch it, and then I was like, "I should not be watching this film with my mom because you know the bit where he has like the little hand."
Yeah.
That was so uncomfortable to watch with my mum.
Yeah, or the bit where is it at the beginning where
Uh,
it's all dead slow motion and he made I just made him into a human fucking shish kebab.
like it was more like the sexual references. Like I was just sat on the sofa and I was just looking at my mum like this was a really bad idea.
And the cocaine and the gun underneath the fucking floorboard. So when you see a superhero movie, where does that happen? Never. One of a kind.
Yeah, I need to watch the second one again.
And his poor taxi driver, who is always just there, and he has to be a part of it all. Bless him.
See, I think another one, like I wouldn't say it's underrated because I think most people like it, but Ant-Man,
Ant-Man is really funny as well.
that is so good. And like what's the guy? Is it Luis? The guy who just goes on and on about his friend who knows this person and just tells an entire like short film.
Yeah.
I fucking love that guy because I relate to him so much.
I just
'Cause I
find
do
him
the same
really
thing.
funny because he's just a funny character because he's that just general lazy guy. That's what I always put him down to. And what else was he in that I think is really good? Role Models. You watch Role Models?
No.
Right. Sean William Scott and him out of Ant-Man, can't think of his name. Right.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, that's it. So, anyway, they're both in this film and they like basically get caught for like police mishap or something along them lines. And what they have to do is they have to go and help out at like a youth centre type thing. And they get like a buddy each. It is great. Watch the film. You'll think it's amazing. You'll love it as well. Because there's loads of kiss in it. So it's like right up your alley. It is a really good
I'll have a
film.
look.
Really good
A film that I really want to watch. I tried to get my partner, and we had a friend staying with us a few, like, what was it, about a month or two? And we were talking about films, and we were trying to think of what this film was called, and he was like, "Yeah, it's that little girl in talent show, and she does that song."
Oh,
That I don't fuck with
the
you,
fist
you little
fight.
stupid ass bitch. I don't fuck.
With
Yeah, and I was like,
Cuban.
fist fight.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to watch it, and they wouldn't watch it with me.
Yeah.
And I've said a few times since, like when me and my partner are like trying to pick a film to watch, I'm like, come on, we've got to watch this. He just wants me to watch Dodgeball because I haven't seen it.
Dodgeball is
And
great.
I'm sure it is, but I just don't really care about it. I just want to watch Fist Fight.
Dodgeball is so good. That's the one with Vince Vaughn in, isn't it? He's so funny. He's good as well.
Like, you know, when I've got something in mind that I want to watch, I'm not interested in anything else until I watch that. Even if it takes me like a year,
Fist Fight.
I don't care about anything else. I'll watch Dodgeball, but I want to watch Fist Fight first.
Fist Fight is
and I don't
so
like
good.
watching stuff on my own. So he's got to man up and do it.
What's the best film from when you was a child? Like one of them films that maybe you shouldn't have watched as a kid, but you still did, and you thought it was hilarious and amazing.
Oh, when you first asked the question, I was like Mighty Joe Young, but that was very age appropriate. So if you mean like stuff we shouldn't have been watching,
so I've got two.
I don't really know. I know TV shows, but I don't.
So one of them was Paul, Have you watched Paul the Alien? Come
I think
on.
I've seen it, but I don't really remember it.
What is happening here? Paul with the alien. You'll know the other one, right? Ted. When Ted first came out, whatever it was, like 2012, it was like 15 or whatever it was. I can remember sitting in the cinema watching that, and it was great. What a film that was, because it was like so unexpected. But it's the fact that you've got this teddy bear ripping a bong on the flipping. It's so oh, it's so funny. But that was like a no film. But then everybody watched it and loved it. I can remember
See,
everyone
I wouldn't say that was like not like okay, yeah, it was kind of inappropriate, but depends. Like, I would have guessed you would have been like a teenager at that
coming
point,
on for a
so I
teenager,
feel like it's
yeah.
fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Or your first horror movie.
No, I don't do horror. No.
Yeah, but you got one
So
as a kid, sure.
okay, so let me go through 3 films here, and I'll tell you about them. Okay, so number 1, watched Dead End as a kid.
Okay.
And I didn't. There was one bit that really scared me, and I just remember there being like a body bag, and I don't know why, but I've always been terrified of the thought of body bags and dead bodies ever since that day. I don't know what happened in the scene. I think I've just blocked it, but I didn't like it. But the film itself wasn't really that bad, from what I remember, unless I've just like repressed those memories. But then my sister and my cousin watched it a couple of weeks later, and I wanted to watch it, and they wouldn't let me. They were like, "No, no, you're not." And I was like, "Bitch, I've seen it. Like, it's fine." And our front room door used to have a lock on it. It was like a bolt thing, really old house. But we never used this lock because it was a well-known fact that it would get stuck. So they bolted the door shut, got locked in. My mum had to climb through, like the little. So you have like big windows. Our big windows don't open. The little ones at the top. Mum had to get a step ladder and climb in with a tea towel to try and like pry the bolt open. So they got in a lot of trouble for that. So second film, I don't even like talking about it. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight, but it's fine. I'm doing this for you guys. Appreciate it. The Grudge.
Really?
To this day has terrified me to my core. So The Grudge came out. My sister she's like 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
And I think all of her mates at school have been talking about it and saying how good this film was and, she needs to watch it. Now, she's also a massive pussy, so she didn't want to watch it on her own.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to admit to her mates that she hadn't seen it, so she couldn't ask them to watch it with her. So what does she do? She locks me in the room with her and forces me to watch it. Terrified. Absolutely freaking terrified. And yeah, so me and my sister used to share a room. That night, obviously, I won't go to sleep. I'm crying, thinking, the little boy is going to come and get me and she's going to crawl out the bath and whatever. So I'm terrified. I must have only been, I don't know, when did that film come out? I want to say I was about 6 or 7, maybe. Yeah. And my sister went downstairs to our PC. I can't remember whether she did it or no, she did. She did do it. I know she threatened to, and then she went and did it. And she was like, "If you don't shut your eyes and go to sleep, I'm going to print out a picture and stick it on the ceiling above your bed." And then she went and did it. So I'm there all night with my eyes closed, just like silently crying because I was too scared to open my eyes. It's horrible,
evil,
right? It's really fucking
man.
mean.
That's
It's so evil.
evil.
And to this day, right, so we had an extension built on the side of our house.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we had like a new loft hatch put in on the landing.
Yeah.
But the old loft hatch is still in the bathroom. And it's this old, it looks like something out of a horror film, right?
Fake
And
naked.
it's always been, ever since we've had the new one, there's 2 catches on the side, like little hooks that like hold it in place.
Yeah.
Right? Ever since we had the extension, obviously no one's used the old one. And these 2 hooks have always been in place. And about 2 years ago, I was doing my teeth one night and I always look at that because I think something's just going to fall out and scare the shit out of me. One of the catches has come off. And ever since, I'm like, no, I feel like something's up there. Like, why is one of the catches off? It makes no sense. And when I do my teeth at night, I have to stand with my back to the wall in that bathroom because it terrifies me. Because I remember my sister saying when we watched The Grudge, that she was gonna crawl out of the loft and come and get me.
Wow.
So I always thought that was gonna happen. And to this day, I am 27 years old, right? To this day, I watch that loft hatch like a hawk when I'm in the bathroom. I don't know why. It's when I'm doing my teeth that I think it's because you're in the mirror, and mirrors are weird, right? Yeah, I stand on my back, like nothing can come up behind me. I can see my surroundings. I'm safe.
I would be
So that film,
terrified.
oh, I was so scared. And my sister's got long dark hair, so she used to love like putting it over her face and doing the noise. And she's got a really bad habit when she washes her hair. You know when your hair like comes out when you pull it and bits come out.
Yeah.
She's got really thick black hair, and she gets a big clump of it. And because she's too lazy to put it in the bin or whatever, she just sticks it to the bath or the side of the wall, like
Oh,
by the
so that
shower.
makes you think all sorts.
And well, do you remember the scene in The Grudge where it's like the bath scene and she comes up out of the bath and it's like a clump of hair? Honestly, I hate my
It's been a
sister for
long
that.
time since I've seen The Grudge.
Fucking hate it. And movie number 3.
Yep.
So, One Missed Call. Have you ever seen that?
Don't think so. Tell me a bit about it.
So it's basically a film where someone dies, right? And then they cough up, or there's like a red sweet or something like lodged in their mouth. And then the film goes on, and then it turns out that it's basically this call is coming through, and the ringtone, I used to have it as my ringtone. Don't know why, because it scared the shit out of me, but I had it.
Nice.
And it was this like really freaky tune. They'd pick up the phone and answer, and they would hear their own death. They would hear themselves dying.
Yes.
And there was no way to avoid it. So this woman goes on a mission to find out where the call is coming from or whatever. I think it was the original was like a Japanese film or something, or a Chinese film.
Yeah.
And this was like a American remake. And for some reason, there was one really scary bit in that film that I didn't like, and it's a bit where they kind of investigate the story, find out what's going on, and there's a woman who's like dead in an air vent or something, but her body, so she's not aggressive, she's actually really friendly, but she's dead, so she's fucking freaky, right? But her body like comes back to life and crawls over to the woman and like gets right on top of her. Did not watch that bit, only watched it the once. But other than that, the rest of the film I really liked.
Right, okay.
And it was always on TV like multiple times a week. Like I think it was like Channel 4 or something. It was on in the day. I just used to watch it all the time. Thought it was great. I don't think I'd watch it as an adult though. It didn't scare me then, but I know for a fact it would now.
What about The Shining? Have you watched it?
Never seen it.
Right,
They're the only 3 horror films I've ever seen.
Right, you need to.
Shaun of the Dead made me cry.
Yeah, but you need to watch The Shining.
No.
Like, because there's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing, really. It's all
Right,
in your
listen
mind.
to what I just said. Shaun of the Dead made me cry.
Yeah, but it's not
That's
even.
a fucking
It's
comedy.
not. Yeah, but it's not even like scary as Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead's scarier than what The Shining is. It's all about anticipation, and it always just has you on edge for something that's coming that never comes. That's what The Shining does. So you sit there, and you're always on the edge of your seat, but you never fall off because there's nothing there. And that's what The Shining does all the way through.
That just sounds like torture.
It is and it isn't, but it's a really, really good film. And it's amazing to watch.
I'm okay when something's classed as a horror film, right? You know, if it's just a ghost film like the others, I wouldn't say that's a horror film. I'd say that's more of a drama.
I
watched that as a kid. There's nothing scary in it. It's a really good film. Great twist at the end too. For me, it's if there's like a scary face. If there's like a headless zombie, I don't give a fuck. I'll watch that film. But if the face looks scary, that's what I don't like.
Yeah.
Scary faces. If it's a human who's chasing you around with a knife without a mask, don't do masks either. If it's just a normal looking person who's just trying to kill you, that's fine.
Right, Shining's right up your street then. Good to go. We'll do a watch party. The Shining. It's a great film. Really good film. I think it's the best horror film ever. Ever. Because of how it just keeps you on the edge of your seat and doesn't actually, there's nothing really to be scared of. But you all the thoughts in your own mind kind of scare you itself, like on your own. It's great. And the soundtrack is phenomenal as well.
That doesn't sound that great.
It is, because it just sends you through a whirlwind of emotions. It's like, wow, what a film. And it is really good. You do need to watch
I think
it.
I'm probably just going to have to take your word for this one because I can't see me doing anything horror related, to be honest.
Horror related. Horror related. So, one of the things that we did used to watch when I was at school, so if any of my mates came round, we used to like the Scary Movie films. Now, Scary Movie now has become like such a massive meme, like everywhere. Like, but Scary Movie 2 was the best one. And that's where all the memes have come from, where it's like, get my strong hand.
So I actually watched one of them. I don't know which one it was. And everyone was like, no, it's funny. Like, they're taking the piss out of
Oh,
horror
yeah.
films. Like, it's not
Proper.
scary at all. And I was like, right, okay, I'll give it a go. Don't know which one it was, but the girl from The Ring comes out the TV.
Yeah.
And this woman's like calling her friend in the kitchen. She's like, there's something weird going on out here. And
They
like,
start beating her up. Isn't that
yeah,
one?
I hated that. I think I was screaming like at my friends to turn it off. They're like, oh, it's not scary. I was terrified. In all fairness, I may have been having flashbacks to The Grudge because obviously the ring girl has the long dark hair over her head and everything as well. So could have been that, but didn't like it.
You need to
0
watch
out of 10.
Scary Movie 2. Scary
Probably
Movie
won't.
2, honestly, it is, we're doing it tonight, whether you like it or not.
We're fucking not.
It's definitely being watched.
We're
It's
not.
so funny. There's no part of it which is scary at all, even the tiniest bit. Or even Scary Movie 1, where it's all based on Scream, and like rings them up and he goes, hello, on the phone, Scream on the phone, and then on the other side of the phone, normally it's like, oh, who is it? I don't want you to get me. Blah, blah, blah. That's how the horror goes. But on this one, the guy picks up the phone and he's like,
I've seen this.
yeah, and he goes, what's up? And all of them on the phone start going off.
Wait, so isn't this the same? That's the same one because I've seen that and I know for a fact I've only seen one. Was the ring girl in Scary Movie 1 as well then?
Might have been. Can't remember. They're all pretty, and
I've
it's always the
definitely seen
same
that.
few people, same characters in them all. They're so funny because they just take the mick. Even like when like the Scream person comes in for a rap battle, right? And he's got like his knife out or whatever. And he's like doing a rap where he's like throwing his knife around, and then they all die, except from one of them. And he's like, "That was some dumb raps, man." Like, what? And honestly, it's such a good film. And I'm telling you now, anybody who's watching this is right now going, I'm watching Scary Movie tonight now, that's it. I'm watching it, I've got to remember this. So
well, on
good.
the topic of Scream, right, wasn't a fan of the films. Like, I've seen little bits, but I was too much of a pussy to watch them through.
Him out of Scooby-Doo was in it.
You what?
Him out of Scooby-Doo was in Scream. He's in the first one.
I thought you was...
Him who plays Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo movies. But we'll come on to that in a minute anyway.
But yeah, this Scream TV show, whatever in the world possessed me to watch it and think it was a good idea, I don't know.
Scream TV
that was really good.
I
think it was really underrated. No one has. Part of me is actually thinking, did I dream this? But no, the story's way too intricate. I have some crazy dreams, but not like that. But it was really good. Well, I think it was.
I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I didn't even know there was a Scream TV show.
I think you need to watch it.
Scream TV show on the list.
It's not really... Was it Scream? No, it was. Because it was called Scream. I don't know. I don't think it was like based on the Scream films. It might have just had the same name. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was really good. Worth a watch, I think. It's been a few years, but from what I remember, it was decent.
So, as I was just saying, before I nearly rudely interrupted you, Scooby-Doo. Have you watched Scooby-Doo movies?
Yeah, but I don't really remember them.
Number one, they go to Spooky Island, right? Anybody's childhood right now sat out there and knows what Spooky Island is. We need to make it a thing, right? To make it a real life theme park. Now, Elliot, whilst I'm talking about it, you need to search up Spooky Island right now. It was the best thing ever. It needs to be real. It was so good. Like
I'm on
when
it.
they pull up to the island, they all like get on Spooky Airline, right? And they pull up to the island, and you're like, "Is this actually a place?" It looks so good. It looks so sick, and it was like
It does look quite
it
cool.
was like the best movie ever for what it was. And you know what? As a kid, that did scare me.
There is in Australia. They have it.
No way. Spooky
There's a
Island.
thing how to visit the Australian resort Scooby Doo's iconic Spooky Island.
Wow. That's amazing. That's what I need to do. Because Spooky Island is awesome. It
So
is.
I've always thought what would be cool. I'd love to set it up as like a business, but I have no money and I don't know how to run a business. But you know, like think of like Tomb Raider, Uncharted, those sort of games,
Yeah.
right? Where you have to do like the big jumps and you have guns, you have to take out enemies and you like rock climbing and all that crap. Do all the puzzles. Imagine if someone made that, like almost like an airsoft thing. So you have to shoot at actual enemies, like paid actors,
You can
and
do
like
a
do these
zombie
puzzles,
thing.
and there'd be like a no, not zombies. We don't do zombies here,
Oh,
Wes.
I'm sorry.
But you're on like a harness, so obviously you jump between the rocks and stuff. But no one's gonna die because your business probably won't work. Because I would do that, almost like a mixture of like airsoft and Total Ninja Wipeout or whatever it was called,
Ninja Warrior.
something like that. Total Wipeout and Ninja Warrior, two different things, yes. But yeah, like just do a mix of the two and make it into a game theme thing.
That would be pretty sick.
Dress up as Lara Croft and
Do some
it's so
random
good.
discovery shit. Like, what was that jungle thing called that were on CBBS as we were a kid?
Jungle Run.
Jungle Run, that's it, yeah.
It was on CBBC.
CBBC, yeah. Boom. It's like Jungle Run, but with Nerf guns. That show was sick. And if they got stuck at the end, they just apparently all them children just died in the jungle. That was it.
I genuinely used to think as a child that they'd just get trapped in the tomb or whatever it was in.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that was probably all just a big TV set, like they weren't even in a cave.
No, there's probably in some massive warehouse.
Yeah. And here was me, like, do you remember Trapped on CBBC as well?
Yeah. That was the
And
same
that
thing, but that was in
woman-
like a massive haunted house, wasn't it?
Yeah, I genuinely used to think those kids, like, those poor families, they're never going to see him again. After that, they probably went out for KFC and ice cream.
Yeah, they probably
And
did.
here's me worrying for their lives.
Yeah, it was like, you remember some of the prizes that they pulled out on some of them games? You've got one-time use camera. Oh, great. Woo. You have got some books. And they said that your kids just sat there like, fuck's sake. Is that what I did all this shit for?
Yeah, but even like the top prizes, like back in the day, it probably would have been like, what, a PlayStation 1?
Yeah.
And at the time, you're like, oh my God, yeah, this is wicked.
It was, yeah. The
And
top
now
prize
at
was
the age
always
of
good.
27, you'd be sat there like, all that shit I went through.
It was always like the second prize, the
Yeah.
second and third prize was always shit. And I can remember it being really shit as well. So they always just wanted to win the big prize. If they didn't get the big prize, then it was not worth it at all. Because the big prize was always worth something, whereas the little prizes were, here you are, you've won a banana. Great. Sound. And it was
See, I love watching game shows, but I feel bad for the contestants. Like, you know, on The Chase, right? They've gone through all of that to get beaten by the chaser and they go in with nothing.
Jason
Bearing in
sits there and laughs
they've
at him.
They've come to like fucking London or wherever it's filmed,
Yeah.
paid travel, hotel, the whole lot. Probably gone out for a fancy meal beforehand and thought, yeah, we're going to win this. Come on, let's splash out now before I win my cash. Gone home with absolutely fucking nothing.
It's the experience.
No, but at least give them something. Come on. Like, I like to think that they get some. I feel really bad for them.
Chase is the best
I always
one,
feel-
because they're dead evil.
You know, when you get someone who's really cocky, I'm like, I hope they lose. I hope they lose and cry on live TV. But when it's just like a really sweet little person and then they lose, I feel really bad. Like, I want to find them and give them some cash.
Chase is a funny one that you bring up, right? Because have you seen the Chase one where it's against celebrities that are doing it for a charity? You seen that?
I've seen a few, yeah.
But then the chaser wins anyway. It's like, ha ha! No money for charity. What?
Yeah, but don't they put some in charity anyway?
Yeah, they do.
Like,
Yeah, but it's still beside the
just not as
point.
much.
Chaser's like, less money
Starving
for
children?
charity.
Fuck you.
Yeah, it's like, we don't care about that here. Not our problem. It's like, what? It's the whole point of this show is to get more money for charity money. Clearly not. Not with the
Do
chaser.
you remember the show Golden Balls?
Yeah, what we could steal.
I used to.
Or
Yeah,
save.
Split or
Split or
Steal.
steal,
I
that's
loved
it.
that.
Oh,
I loved it.
there was
So good.
there's one that's
I
like
want it back.
viral at the minute, and it's like where this nice like young girl is like, I want to pay my uni tuition and all this stuff, and this older guy's like, yeah, that's all right, darling. I promise I'll split with you. He's got split, she's got steal. I was like, damn.
Yeah, there was 2 women who did it, and she's like, "Look, if we both split it, then we go home with this much. Like, we'll just split." And she's like, "How can I trust you?" And she's like, "No, just trust, because I could risk if you put steal, I'm going home with nothing. Like, I'm trusting you here." Like, proper gaslighting this woman, right? And then steals it. And I was like, "Do you know what? I like her style, but if I was this other woman, you would catch a slap in the parking lot outside."
Oh, and her boyfriend's thinking,
Ooh. Yeah, he's like, "She's a bit of a sly bitch."
Where was you the other night? You said something very similar to me.
I couldn't though. I like to think I'm a nice person, but if I went on a game show like that, I feel too bad to steal it from the other person.
You gotta go all in.
So I'm the one that get mugged off on going split and having it all stolen. I am that guy.
Yeah, that's probably true. You are very nice.
You'd steal every time.
I would always try and steal. That's the worst bit. Gotta do what's best here. Gotta look out for the fam. Some of it's some serious coin as well. It's like mad. You ain't losing out on that. But so
What's the one with the boxes and that is it Noel Edmonds or everything?
deal or no deal with the bank account.
That one.
Even though he's just
So
talking
when
to
all
himself in the
when like all the higher boxes are gone.
Yeah.
I've seen a few episodes. It doesn't happen that often, but all the higher ones are gone. It's just the lower ones left. And you're like, at this point, like, at what point can they just say, "Do you know what? I'm just going to go home."
£5 or 50p.
Yeah, like, why'd you carry on playing? Just call it a day, mate. Go and have a beer.
You're going to get this £5 or you're going to get it 50p.
Like, my mum loves Tipping Point, and I think that's the most boring one. Like, okay, there's some questions in it, but it's just a fucking 2p machine. Like, just go to an arcade.
It is a 2p machine.
Like,
it's the world's best 2p machine.
It's really not.
It's so good. I like Tipping Point. That one's good. I like that one. Like,
I just want Golden Balls back.
the crazy ones. So going back a little bit to when we was on about the prize ones. You watched Takeshi's Castle before?
Never heard of it.
Right. It's the Japanese version, right, of basically Total Wipeout / Ninja Warriors. There's about 1,000 Japanese people, and they just send them basically doing all these challenges. And I shit you not, one of them is like versus a sumo wrestler. And these 1,000 people are just getting smashed up by sumo wrestlers. I shit you not, that's like one of the things. One of them is like
I
a
want to
maze.
see this.
They get clotheslined by like the people in the maze and took out. And then there's like stepping stone one where some of them sink and some of them stay. Like run as fast as they can over these stepping stones. And then one of them slips and bang, face plants straight off another stepping stone. It's so lethal. It's like, what? It's the most craziest game show you'll ever see. And I'm like, even till this day, I'm surprised that they even run that. And people are like, I want to do it. They run over and just get face planted. It's so funny. And then at the end, it's like they have to beat the Japanese warriors. And they get in like little tanks and shoot each other with these like plastic ball things. It's mad. It's crazy, trust me. You need to watch Takeshi's Castle.
You've got to show me a clip of this after this episode.
Oh, 100%.
We're going to screen share this on YouTube.
It needs to be done because it is the craziest TV show. I've
Why
ever
is it
seen.
though? I don't know if there's something wrong with me, right? But watching people get hurt is just the best thing. And I don't know why. And I follow a page on Instagram. This is going to make me sound really bad, okay? And I'm a great person. I just want to put that out there. But I follow a page on Instagram that is my favorite thing, and it's just called Kids Getting Hurt.
What? What?
It sounds really bad, but it's just funny. It's just like toddlers just tripping over nothing and kids like falling off the top of a slide and shit. Like none of them are seriously injured, obviously. Like the parents send them in.
Yeah.
So you know the
Like
kid's
you've been
okay because
framed.
yeah, like the parents
Used to
found it
love
funny enough to
watching that
send
as
in.
a
So it's
kid.
not like the kid's gone off and got brain damage, but there's just something about it. Like you can be having a really bad day and you just watch a toddler run into a wall. Instantly your day is just better. Why is that? This can't just be me. Someone back me up
That
here
everyone
because I
you well, everyone used to
feel bad.
watch You've Been Framed. That's exactly what that was.
It
Random
was
stuff.
until it all became staged. People just wanted
Oh,
250
they
quid.
did. Yeah, they
Back
did.
in the day, was it Lisa O'Reilly, who used to do it?
Yeah.
Those days were good
When I was a
because
kid,
they were like proper.
it was so funny when I was a kid. I thought it was the best show ever. I thought it was dead good. Or better that, when I was a kid, can you remember Dick and Dom in the Bungalow when you was a
I
kid?
didn't like them. I found like I get why they were
Oh,
funny
they
as
were
like to
so
kids.
funny.
I think because of my emetophobia and a lot of stuff like that, I didn't like a lot of the stuff they did, the noises and the substances that were used. It just gave me the ick.
It's when they sat in like quiet places and they play bogeys.
I
Oh,
hated that game.
oh, it used to get me every
Hated it.
time, especially if they're in a library. It's a bit like in Practical Jokers now. That's what that is. It's like in
Is that the
Practical
one where
Jokers.
they say to them, right, now do this? They're on a phone line thing.
Yeah,
I've seen clips of that and I really want to watch it because it looks amazing.
yeah, that's like the upgraded version of bogeys. That's what that is. Yeah, in Practical Jokers, they'll just be sat there and they'll be working a cash register in McDonald's or something. They've got their earpiece in and they'll be like, just throw the change over the restaurant. Just launch the
So
change for the person over the other side of the restaurant.
so we used to do something similar, right? So my sister and her friend, I went into town with them one day. Her friend was looking for a dress. And I've never seen people do it before until I went out with these two. They're fucking mental. And they're like daring each other to like go in shops and ask dumb questions and just do something really embarrassing, like pretend to fall over in the in the middle of the shopping centre. And they were just doing it. I had social anxiety at the time, so I was mortified, right? Like, I was suffering really bad. I've been in the house for like 2 years straight, hadn't left. This was probably about 6 months into not recovery, but I'm going to call it like a recovery phase.
Yeah.
So I was mortified. But then as I got a bit older, I grew out of my anxiety a little bit. I was like, you know what? This game's actually really funny. And when I went to Chester with a few friends, I said to them, because they're all wild, I was like, guys, we need to play this game. I'm the only one who did it, right? So one of my friends dared me to go into a watch shop with my phone very openly in my hand and ask if they've got the time. Right. And you probably know exactly who it was who told me
Classic.
to do this.
Classic.
I've got a feeling. I'm the only one who did it. I've gone in and it was so awkward as well because this woman, bless her, she was really sweet. So I've gone in and I'm like, excuse me, have you got the time? And she was like, yeah, it's, and she looked at her watch and then she looked at me, so on my phone, and she was like, yeah, it's like 3:15 or whatever it was. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. No, I'm meant to be meeting some people and my phone's dead, like with my phone screen very visibly on. And she's just looking at me really gone out and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. Right, I better get going. And she's like, yeah, okay, no worries. I'm like, this was really awkward.
Wow.
And then I was daring them to do stuff and none of them did it. Absolute pussies.
Standard. But yeah, that's why I should never
And that
go
was
for
quite
it.
a tame one.
I thought that was really easy.
Yeah, that's really tame.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse. Probably stuff we shouldn't say.
Yeah. But I want to play this game again with more interesting people.
And I think that can definitely be arranged because they sound like boring. How could you not do that? That's such a fun
Well,
game to play.
the thing is, they're such wild people and they are all up for just embarrassing themselves or others in public. So I was like, this game is right up their street. Nope, none of them did it.
See, I'm the type of person that would go up to the busker and ask if I can sing while he plays the guitar. I'd be happy to do that. That is not an issue at all. And I'd happily
Right,
sit
we're
there
gonna
and
schedule.
sing.
We are going to go for dinner again another time. The four of us, we're going out. We're going into a city centre and we're doing this. We are finding one, and I'm going to hold you to this.
Find the Musker. Can you do Hey Soul Sister by train?
Do you know Oasis by Wonderwall? And then just act really amazed when they play it on the guitar.
You don't even know what you
Not
just
like
said.
it's the first one that everyone learns.
You don't know what you just said. That's great.
Oasis by Wonderwall, I realised as soon as I said it.
Do you know Oasis by Wonderwall? No, I don't, but I know Wonderwall by Oasis, if that helps. Enjoy yourself in it there.
You know exactly what I meant, okay?
But it's the best bit is that I found it so funny. So yes, I do know
It's been a long day.
Wonderwall by Oasis.
I think you'll find it's Oasis by Wonderwall.
My apologies, good
Actually.
sir. Oh, but no, to be honest with you, there's so many good films, even some TV shows from when we were kids that were so good and like bring back so many memories.
We had a DVD, right? And it was called Bow Selector. And I remember the picture was just like this guy in a bathtub with like chains and stuff. I remember watching it, but I don't really remember anything other than him doing the Craig David thing, like with his fingers.
Craig David!
That's all I remember.
For all the
But
Bow
bear in mind,
Selector
I was like
fans.
6.
Yeah.
And I feel like I probably shouldn't have been watching it. And it's probably a really good thing that I don't remember it.
The best one, the one that makes me laugh, is when he's dressed up as Craig David. And he goes and knocks on the door and he goes, I'm Craig David. Would you like to be on my new radio show? And he goes, how do I know you're Craig David and not that ginger twat off the telly? And he goes, look at my coat. It says Craig David. He said,
but why did he do the finger thing? Like that? Do you know what I mean? That thing. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to make a twat myself. But what was that?
All taking the piss out of Craig David. Honestly, Craig David says to this day that it was the one thing that ruined his career for years. Because Keith Lemon did Bow Selector.
Wait, is that who it was?
Yeah. Yeah. That's who did them all, and it was so funny. They're so bad, though. They're probably borderline very racist, some of them.
Well, do you remember Balls of Steel?
Yeah, Balls of Steel was great.
I loved that. Nedge's Urban Sports. Honestly, that's got to be in a history textbook in like 100 years.
One where you can see how many times you can knock on someone's door and how many swear words you can get out of them.
It's that woman where she's like, my flat, my door, piss off. I love that woman. I love her.
It's like doing a
or the one where
bingo
he's just
card.
dashing cheeseburgers at people.
Yeah.
And there's that one guy who just stands there like looking really awkward. He's just having cheeseburgers like pelted at his head. And he's just stood there like, just a normal Tuesday, mate.
I love
like,
the devil.
Not giving a fuck.
The devil was funny, man. The devil was evil when he was throwing dog poo at people. That was evil, that was, man.
Isn't he the one that like handed out free umbrellas and when people popped them up they had like twat written on the top or something?
Balls of Steel, that was great. That TV show was
so
it was
good.
so funny because this was basically people who weren't terrified to do stuff, to crack on and just go and have the time of your life.
The thing is, that show would never be allowed to be a thing now.
No. God, could you imagine? It'd get run off straight away. Honestly, it was so funny though, because some of the stuff that they come out with was just mad. Like, you just couldn't do any of it.
It was the militant black guy for me. I mean, I'm not going to quote a lot of what he said, but he was incredible. Because he was one of these, like, not taking the piss out of racism, but, like...
Definitely was very close.
Just, like, bringing some humour to it.
Yeah, he was. 100%.
Like, he was great. I loved that guy.
For me, the one that stands out, I'm even looking at the pictures now, just the ones that stand out for me is always Nedge. and always
I love that guy.
always the devil. They were just funny.
I'm surprised you didn't love the Bunny Boy though,
Bunny
because I
boy.
would imagine you'd love watching her on TV.
Oh, they were all funny though. They were all funny. They always used to sit there and used to be in stitches for hours.
See, she used to really piss me off because when I'd watch it, I'd think, no, if that if that was my man. Bearing in mind, I'm way too young to even have a man, but I'm like, oh, she'd really piss me off. Whereas now, as an adult, if someone came up to my man and was doing like, you'd see it as a joke. It's quite obviously
Yeah, he's
like
so
it's being
overdone.
done for humor.
Yeah, it's not even.
I'd find it hilarious. Like I think I'd just play along.
Honestly, that was a really good TV show. I'm trying to think of any
And it was
more
one.
now.
It wasn't scripted as well. That's what I liked about it. Like now, everything's just so scripted, and you can just tell it's not real.
Yeah,
Whereas that, like, people's reactions were real.
they were.
Like Nedge with that security guard when he pretend to steal something, and then he'd like get to a McDonald's, and that's where the timer would shut off. He'd have to outrun all the security guards, and he like jumps over the escalator
Yeah, I
and
can
then
remember
runs
that
down the
one.
up one, and then that guy just comes out like trying to be a hero, just comes out of nowhere and like tackles him down to the ground. Just some random passerby.
Yeah, funny. Balls of Steel. That was great. But I used to watch like Top Gear and stuff. Did you ever watch any Top Gears or anything like that?
No, my dad loved it, but I've
Oh,
never.
I used to love original Top Gear, and they used to do like road trips to places, a bit like what they're doing now, or have done with the Grand Tour, where they just do like these specials. They were great. They were used to love that as a kid, watching the
I've seen a
specials,
clip. I
watching
don't
the
think it's the
cars.
same people, but it's not a car show. But I saw it on TikTok, and it was like me and my friends whenever we try and do something or whatever, and he burns the caravan down. That was funny.
Yeah, that is on a car show.
Oh,
This
is
is
it?
the best bit, yeah, because that's what they did. So every
But
like
he's
season
so
they do two
casual.
of
Like he's
them.
just like, hey, there's a fire, and he's like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like they're just not bothered at all. Like the whole
No.
place has just gone up in flames, and they're just sat there like, well, shit.
That's literally what they like. It's so funny. Such dry humour, but it's hilarious. I used to watch them all of the time because I thought it was so funny. It used to crack me up every time we used to do it. And I just used to have so much fun just watching all the different like episodes that they did. Because they did like ones where they converted cars into caravans and where they had to tow a caravan or they had to get a lorry and convert it into a motorhome and all these random things to travel across Africa and shit like that that was like entertaining just to watch them as personalities, not necessarily just like the car program. Everyone used to love them because they were so funny. God, they were so funny. Trying to think if there's
See,
anything else like that.
I didn't really have any interest in that because it was a car thing. I don't really do cars. I'm not big on them at all. Like I remember my friend had a really cool car, and I can't remember what it was. And I was like, oh, I need to tell my dad about this car. He'd love it. I've gone home to my dad, and I'm like, my mate's got a really cool car. Oh yeah, what is it? I don't know. It's black. It's literally all I know. Like just the color of it.
Except
And
for
my
when
dad's
you
like,
saw my car and you was like, I can
really
lie
helpful.
down in this one.
See, so far back. That would have been a great nap.
Driving everywhere in the
Eh,
Tesla, you can just lie all the way back.
Okay, my only issue with your Tesla was the headrest on it was like this big. Why? Like my head's just gonna roll off.
That's very true. Very thin headrest.
Yeah, headrest too small. I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. That's still pretty good.
Yeah, but the head it would have been 10 out of 10 if it had bigger headrests. A car like that, I'd expect it to be like ultimate comfort, like molded to your head shape and go around and just, almost like a neck brace.
A neck brace on
Yeah,
the
just,
car.
really firm and secure. That's what you want from a headrest.
Secure. That's what you want from your Tesla headrest. To be
They
firm
should bring out a
and
Tesla 2
secure.
and just make a better headrest.
Well, you best get getting to them and telling them that that's what they need to do because otherwise they'll be
I mean,
out of order.
who owns it?
Who owns what? Tesla?
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Oh, is it him?
Yeah, who now owns, not called Twitter
Twitter.
anymore, it's called X.
It's still Twitter, let's be honest.
He's even changed the like
Um,
button. Come up as an X.
I feel like I knew that, but I didn't want to say it because I wasn't 100%. But anyway, I'm going to drop him a tweet, and I'm going to an X. Do we call it an X now, or is it still a tweet?
I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna message him and say, "Excuse me, your cars are great, but can you make better headrests, please? Thank you."
Can you please make better headrests?
I'll let you know how this whole interaction goes down, guys. I'll keep you updated.
Keep you up to date with how I get on with Elon Musk, because I'm going to try and talk to him just to see what he wants to do. Whereas he could just give you the solid no, or just ignore you. Was it Mark Zuckerberg that owned Twitter beforehand?
No, he owns Facebook and like Meta, so like Instagram and stuff.
So did he
I
not
think.
own? Did he not own Twitter? Because I thought the
No,
whole
I think that was
reason
just
that
some
he
Twitter guy.
changed everything was because Mark Zuckerberg was like, "Oh, look at what I have. I have Meta. What do you have?"
Yeah, but
Tesla.
Twitter wasn't part of Meta, was it?
Don't know. But then because they
I
were
don't think it
beefing, he
was.
changed it to X, and then it wasn't called Twitter anymore. It's just that one day it suddenly stopped being called Twitter, and now it's just X. Elon Musk
Yeah,
does what the
I don't
fuck
like
he
it because
wants.
the thing is, I tried to find like the Twitter page, like the support page. You know, when we were trying to change the name of our like, podcast thing on Twitter,
Yeah.
I tried to find them to tweet the support, and you type in X. Do you know how many fuckers come up before like the actual thing? It's such a shit name. Like it makes your discoverability just zero.
That's probably gonna be why they've done it.
Like,
How easy would that be?
what is his marketing team?
They probably just sat there going, "Don't know how we don't get complaints? Become a letter. Done." Who's gonna come after us then? Well, they're not gonna be able to find us on our support page. So unlucky. What they're gonna do about
Yeah,
it? What are they
that
gonna
makes
do
sense.
about
Actually,
it?
that's probably why they've done it.
So it is funny, I won't lie. But heyo, I'd do that if I was a multi-billionaire like Elon Musk. Why not make it what it is and make it your own? Can't really complain with that, can you? Cannot complain with.
I mean, I'm sure I'll find a way, but sure.
Speaking of apps, everyone has Facebook, everyone has Instagram, everyone has Twitter. So go and follow What This Time on Twitter, Instagram, and Kick.
And all of these are in the description below, I think.
So please take
They will be.
advantage. And we are live every Thursday, and we post a new video to you every Sunday. What more could you want? Best of both worlds, as Hannah Montana would say herself.
I love that woman.
You get the best of both worlds.
Don't make me sing on camera. I can't sing.
And now the advertisement is complete for our own business. Imagine that. No advertisers, but you can advertise yourself. Why not?
Again, you do that voice way too well.
I don't know.
Seriously, do movie trailer voiceovers.
Movie trailer voiceovers done by Wes. I could put it on Fiverr. Charge people money on Fiverr to do it. Would you like your stuff being voiceovered by a true professional? Well, do it like Wes. Pay £500 on Fiverr. Have Wes to talk over your scene. God. Some of them are ridiculously expensive when you go on Fiverr. And it is only meant to be a fiver.
I remember when I was looking for like Twitch overlays or Kick overlays and like alerts and stuff, and I was like, I'm just going to learn how to make them myself because fuck you guys.
Cost me too much money. Way too much
and
money.
I got none.
What?
I said, and I've got none.
You've got none.
Like money.
Got none.
As in, like, I'm broke, Wes.
I'm broke. I got
Seriously,
bills.
send help.
I gotta pay. Wow. So, moving on swiftly from the broke days. Speaking of more broke days, we are due, I believe, to roll out within the next couple of weeks our first giveaway, which we agreed on the first ever show, and which is something that we're going to give away. So, as you all know, we cater to everybody that is here. So we'll say it here and we'll say it on our next live as well, that if you are with us and you're a part of our thing, whether that's like, subscribe, so we know who you are and how we can get in contact with you, we'll be doing at the end of this month a £50 giveaway for an Amazon voucher or the new Call of Duty game, whichever you'd prefer on whichever platform you're on. We will do either or. And it's something that...
Sorry, I just want to say the £50 giveaway, obviously it'll be for the game or the £50 or whatever is equivalent in whichever currency you're on.
Correct. So to us, obviously, it's pounds. Makes sense to us because we're from England. Whee!
Woohoo, it's not depressing living here. What do you mean?
But if you're in America or something like that, being dollars, and if you're in, I don't know, somewhere in the euros, and vice versa all the way along. So you will obviously get it in whichever currency you're in. So please subscribe, please like, please show your love, please follow along, and please get in touch with us so we know who you are and where we can get in touch with you, because you might be the lucky winner.
I was just wondering, am I right in thinking, correct me if I'm wrong, will the draw be done on our live?
Yes, it
or
will.
Will it be on both? Do they need to be in the live to claim it, or
they will need to be in the live to claim it? Correct.
Okay.
So you will need to go over to the Kick, and we will let you know which one it's going to be on social media. So please follow along, and we'll make you aware of when that is going to be. Anyway, we can carry on with what we were talking about previously. I want to go back to music and what music means
here we go
to you.
again.
No, it's a little bit different this time. I'm not going to sit here and absolutely rip into you because you don't like Michael Jackson or Elvis or
I do
Queen
like them.
or anybody else that's actually pop culture referenced.
I do like them. I just think they're really overplayed. Okay, continue.
What is one artist, not Billy Joel? Don't say Billy Joel, because I swear to God.
But I want to.
Don't say Billy Joel.
I don't know the question yet, but I want to.
What is one artist that if you could bring them out, whoever it is, whoever it could be, dead or alive, you could bring them back for one concert. So you've got to have a supporting act and then a main one, and that's what you've got to go and do. Go and watch them.
I want to say The Who.
Oh, good choice. That's really good choice.
I remember I used to have a lot of their songs on my going to work playlist. So I used to work in a different city and I'd have really long bus journeys. I think I spoke about this in one of the other episodes. And I'd have my earphones in the whole time. And I had quite a lot of their music. I was like, I'd love to see these guys live. And then I Googled it and just got heartbroken because I was like, well, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So yeah.
The Who would you have supporting them? Doesn't have to be the same style of artist either, because this could be like the dream mashup concert of the century. Do you know what I mean?
So it's got to be someone who still doesn't do concerts, right? So I can't say Ronan Keating.
You can say Ronan Keating if you really wanted to be.
Well, then him. And I want him to be the main as well. I want him to be the opening, the main, the closing, the halftime show. And I want to go out for dinner with him afterwards.
Wow. To all the people out there that are currently thinking, who is Ronan Keating? Me too.
No one's thinking that.
No one knows who he is.
Everyone knows him. Boyzone singer. Let me put it out there. Boyzone weren't that great. But he's really good. Solo artist. He is... I love him. I love him a lot.
Yes, there's a lot of people that like apple pie as well, but prefer apple crumble. It's one of them statements, right? It's just better in another way. No Ronan Keating.
I don't get why you hate him so
I don't
much.
hate
I think
Ronan Keating.
he's just the best
It's just like
thing
out
that
of
God has ever given
everyone,
us.
you could really go to one concert and you can pick two people. You go, no, you know what? Scratch off who. I want Ronan Keating all over.
Yeah, but have you seen Ronan Keating?
Looks
Have
bad.
you heard Ronan Keating?
Look at your face. Uh,
I'm gonna send him this clip on Instagram, and
yeah.
he's gonna come for you.
Yeah, because he's going to watch What This Time podcast. If he does,
Well, you never know.
welcome, Ronan. Thank you for turning up. Unfortunately, I'm just not a fan of your music. Thank you for
But
tuning in.
fortunately, I'm the biggest, so
Exactly. So it equals itself out. So the What This Time podcast clearly does support Ronan Keating in some way, shape, or form.
so when I saw him live, right, there was these two women arguing at the back, and we couldn't really hear what was going on for a while. But it turns out, right, we heard it all later on. But it was these two women fighting, right? Older woman, younger woman. Turns out they were mother and daughter, right?
Yeah.
At his show, and they're literally like, I love him more. No, you don't. I love him more. Like screaming at each other.
Wow.
One of them threw a punch at the other one. They got escorted out.
What?
And I was sat in like the fourth row from the front. And I'm just looking at him like, amateurs. Like, I love him more than both of you, so shut the fuck up. Okay. Like,
Amateurs. Amateurs. Well, I would
fucking
have.
rookie hour over here.
Definitely. I think you've gone the wrong way massively. I would want to see Elvis Presley 100%. It'd be amazing. Wow. To watch that guy live would be great. His music is incredible. And Michael Jackson. If you could put both of them together, they're both very different. Or, no, scratch that. Scratch Michael Jackson. Notorious B.I.G. and Elvis, completely different artists in different ways. One's a rap artist, the other one's flipping old school rock and roll. I would 100% put them two together. That would be my dream concert. That would be amazing. I wish I could watch both of those. They would be so good. So completely different in so many ways, but would be so entertaining. And I think that would get a lot of people to come and watch as well. Just saying.
I really want to say that you're weird, but I'm very aware that I just went on about Ronan Keating. And most people watching this are going to be more on your side.
Yeah, because Ronan Keating, out of anyone you could go
Okay.
and watch, Ronan Keating.
Can we just leave the Ronan Keating slander for one day,
Okay.
please?
No more Ronan
It
Keating
breaks my heart.
slander.
Thank you.
No more. He will not be mentioned again.
Ronan, if you're here, I love you.
So, moving on from Ronan Keating, then we're not going to talk about music no more because it keeps going back to Ronan Keating.
Everything in life comes back to Ronan Keating.
As was discussing on our last live, things about our childhood and things which happened in our childhood. Have you got any more funny stories for me?
I have so many. Where do you want me to start?
Let's start with one when you was in the older years of school.
Okay, so these were rough years for me.
Okay.
Like personally and emotionally, but because of that, my stories from that time do not make me out to be a very good person. So you're gonna have to just bear that in mind.
Bear everything in mind.
A lot of them were like just getting in trouble at school, really, but in a funny way.
In a funny way.
Well, I think it was funny. Probably wasn't funny for the teachers. I feel kind of bad for them now. As an adult, I look at it really differently.
Poor teachers.
But okay, do you want? I feel like I went over quite a lot of the funny ones yesterday. I don't want to say too many of the same kind of stuff. So I'm like, And I was actually thinking about this in the shower earlier.
Yeah.
Right. Of like stories, but a lot of them are more like deep. I feel like we need to keep the vibes up. There was the time the teacher stole my necklace.
I don't knock the teacher out.
I wanted to.
Stealing your stuff.
So I'm going to tell this one. So it's not necessarily a funny one. It's okay to laugh. I'm okay with it now. I've come to terms with it.
Okay.
I've calmed my anger. But basically, right, so I'd recently lost my nan.
Yeah.
And she had this like gold-plated necklace. It was like just a basic chain thing. And yeah, I had it. And I took it everywhere with me. So I used to wrap it around my wrist in like a bracelet or wear it as a necklace or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just had it with me for the first few months. It never left me. And obviously wore it to school. one of the probably only times I ever really went to PE. I think it was not long after I've been in trouble for climbing out the window, which, if you don't know that story, go check out our live that was done on Thursday on Kick. It's worth it. But I think it was not long after that, so I was kind of having to go to PE at this point. And obviously you have to take jewelry off, and I'm like, no, I'll tuck it in. I'll use that tape and tape it down. And they were like, no, you need to put it in the box with everyone else's stuff. And I'm like, no, because what's stopping someone else coming in and just taking it? Like, I was terrified to lose it, right?
Yeah.
So my teacher was like, look, put it in. So she brought in like a set. So they brought in like a plastic box, and everyone put all their stuff in there, like jewelry and whatever. And she brought in like a smaller box and was like, look, put it in here. This is the only one in here. I'll bring this box directly to you after PE.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not sure about this, but fine. Put it in that one. And she's like, it's going in my office. It's going to be locked away for the whole hour. No one else has got a key. Just, it's fine. So I'm like, right, okay, cool. So after PE, I go to our office, wait outside to get my necklace. And she's like, it's not in here. The fuck do you mean it's not in here? And she's like, you need to go and check in the main box. And I'm like, but you said that it was in this other one. And she's like, no, I didn't. Just barefaced lying to me, right? So obviously I'm kicking off at this point. Go to the normal box. It's empty. Everyone's got their stuff. Everyone's gone. You can imagine the rage. I'm like, someone's fucking got it, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm kicking off. I'm causing a riot scene. And the deputy head got called down to her office. And she is like, look, if someone's taken it. And I'm like, look, you ain't letting anyone go home. Like, you need to search every student who was in PA at this time because someone's got it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the best reputation in school at this time. So they're trying to call me a liar. Obviously, I'm just kicking off. And then it's escalating and escalating, right? I'm getting really mad. And the woman who originally said, oh, I'm going to put it in this box and it'll be safe, whatever. She goes in her pocket and she's like, oh, look, it's in here. I must have put it in here to keep it safe for you. I was like, you fucking liar. I started switching about trying to steal it. I think she did get in a bit of trouble, but the problem was all of like the upper management team at that school were really close friends. So nothing ever really got done. And they were all really bad at the really bad. But she wasn't going to admit to it until I started kicking off. I was like on the phone, like ringing my mum to come down and sort this shit out. It was only then that she and it was the most fake thing ever. She just went, oh, look, it's in here. Like, why would you even think to check your pocket? She knew damn well it was in there.
That's just being a dick on another level.
Right.
I'm
sure.
sure.
I was so mad. So mad.
I've got one that can put the mood back up a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that.
I had a maths teacher. And I was always quite good at maths. I was never bad at maths. I was always quite good at maths. Just naturally always been all right. But basically coming towards like GCSE term and time, his name was Mr. Brammer. Nah, flipping out, you're probably thousands of them out there. It's a great proper name. So anyway, he supported the NFL team, Raiders, right? So every time we'd go into his lesson, and I'm shit you not, think of someone he literally looked like this. That was his face. Didn't move.
Bill Belichick.
Like, literally, honestly,
however you say his name.
That was his face 24/7. It did not change. Even if he laughed, he'd be like, that would be it. It wouldn't really move. It would not change.
Definitely like Daddy Bill.
At all. So I was like, okay. So what we used to do is walked into his classroom and Bram Raider! Like that. So he walked into his class. Wesley, out. Straight away, should just walk in for lesson. Wesley, out. Every time. It'd just be the same thing every time. I'd say the same thing every time. And he'd just leave me outside for the whole lesson. I'd be sat there on my phone like this. Like, okay, no worries. Not a problem at all. I ain't got an issue. I'll happily have my time off. So, it must have been going on for about 3 or 4 weeks, right? Where this is like 3 lessons a week. This was happening. One time I was like, I'll show you, Mr. Brammer. Watch this. Rang my mum. when Mum, they keep kicking me out of maths. I'm sat on the flipping floor outside my maths room. She rings up school kicking off, and I mean kicking off. And I know she's kicked off because the head teacher has come to see where I am. So he comes in, blah, 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 flipping, walks up, and he sees me sat on the floor. And he was like, so my mum wasn't lying. It was telling the truth here. I remember him going into the class and going, students, out. And he was having a go at fucking Mr. Brammer, and then I got moved into another class because he kicked off. But the best bit is, right, he came up to me and he went, you shouldn't have your phone on during lesson time. I said, yeah, but I shouldn't be kicked outside on the floor either, should I? And he's like, you shouldn't be contacting parents. This is a school matter. I went, yeah, but then my mum get it sorted. Fact.
Fair point.
Can't argue with the truth, right?
Mums are the best.
Honestly.
So I never really went. Well, I did go to maths. For a bit, my maths teacher was really hot when I was in like year 9. So that kind of motivated me a little bit.
Hot maths teacher.
I think that's the only lesson I sat at the front of the class for as well.
Hot maths teacher.
He was really cute. He was a bit of a dick, but he looked nice, so it's fine. But yeah, I was the opposite of you. Really bad at maths. Naturally, can't do it. You ask me what's 4 plus 10, I have to get my fingers out and count it.
Yeah.
I can't. Numbers just make no sense. It makes my brain scream. And yeah, so I just kind of was like, well, there's not really much point me being here because I sit here for an hour, don't really know what's going on. So I just kind of stopped going after a while. And then when I moved to a different school, like halfway through year 10.
Yeah.
Well, I was out of school for a few weeks, and then I went like towards the end of year 10.
Yeah.
And my first maths class there, God, I haven't been in a maths class for like 2 years. It's like learning a whole other language again. I did pass my maths with a lot of help from that school. The second school I went to were brilliant.
That's good.
The first school failed me massively. But yeah, the second school were really good, and they helped me get through it. I did have to resit it a couple of times. I think I got a D twice, double D's, baby. And then I finally got a C, and they were like, "Do you want to go for a higher grade? Do you want to try and break?" And I was like, "No, I'm done. Like, a C's a pass, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Cool, I'm done. That's fine by me." But yeah, maths is just not my strong point at all.
No, that's the same with some people. I was alright at maths. I was really bad at English, though. I can't spell for shit. Dyslexic as anything.
Yeah. I'm the opposite. English was always my strongest subject, and I hate it because my accent where I'm from makes me sound really dumb because everyone here talks like a chav.
Yeah.
So I sound like a chav and a bit brain dead, right? But English I'm really good at. So at the age of 7, I was writing books with chapters. Well, probably even before that, I was writing books with chapters, and I used to want to be an author. Really good at writing, spelling, grammar, punctuation, all that stuff. And I actually have a friend in America who's in college now. And on a few of his like first college papers, he's like, "Can you help me proofread them?" So obviously the subject isn't English, but they get marked down on bad grammar, bad like sentence structure, all that kind of stuff. So I've spent hours going through it with him, and that was a mission. That was a real chore because I've been out of education for a long time, so I'm decent at English, but it was almost like a refresher course for me. But also Americans do things very differently, so they do a lot of punctuation differently to how we do it, especially quotation marks and like when you're quoting something, and speech marks. So obviously we put the punctuation, like the full stop or whatever, outside the quote.
Yeah.
They put it inside, and it's things like that. And I had to kind of learn how the Americans do it. But he didn't lose any marks for any sort of like English related stuff, spelling, grammar, punctuation, all of that. He got full marks.
That's good.
I was very proud of myself. Not him, just
doing
me.
his work for him. I was very proud.
And this guy's not dumb, right? I don't know if he's watching this. If you are, hi. He's not dumb at all. But I think he used to like cram his papers.
Yeah.
So he'd rush to write them, not really check them over. And there was like lots of the same word being used over and over again. And I'm like, right, come on, you need to come up with a new one. Give me something to work with.
There's an app that does that now, isn't there? Swear I've seen that
maybe.
somewhere. That you get for like your
Um,
computer or whatever for when you're typing stuff up.
yeah, but I kind of wanted to help him learn how to do it as well at the same time.
Yeah, true.
So instead of me going, right, why don't you use this word? It was like, okay, think of another word. What can you use in
Instead of
like
because,
differently to this? But he'd,
because.
well, he'd say stuff like, instead of saying and all the time or also, starting a sentence with also, he started them with as well. And I'm like, no, that's not how English works, babe. Like, you can't, like, you know how you say, also, this happened. He's going, as well, this happened. I'm like, mm-mm, mm-mm. No, that doesn't work. So yeah, it was a lot of like changing stuff around. It was quite fun though, to be fair. And I actually looked at jobs doing like proofreading, editing. But everyone's a dick, and they're like, "Oh, you must have 5 years experience and this many references." And
Yeah.
I've actually seen job adverts. Right, I'm very off topic here right now. Bear with. Um, so I saw a job advert that was just the most poorly written thing in the world. Advertising for a proofreader, must have this much experience, this many references, must have a degree. Doesn't matter what degree it's in, but just you got to have
A
one.
degree.
And I'm like, this is what you're putting out there as a job advert. I was this close to being the petty person who just rewrote the job advert and sent that to them instead of the CV. And I wish to God I'd done it now. I wish to God I had done it, because I'm like, you're asking for people that have got all this experience and degrees. I guarantee you I could do a better job than half the people that will apply.
Yeah.
Half the people that fit the criteria. And whoever's written your job advert needs firing.
See, that's the thing sometimes. I think that's the issue with a lot of jobs. I think you have to put yourself in stupid amounts of debt to start earning money. Whereas if you look at the average, like, say, electrician who has gone and done 3 years or 2 years in college to get their electrician's degree and then starts being an electrician at the bat and earns really good money from the get go over the period of time, as he gets better at being an electrician, charges more money, he'll already be on more money than people that have been to college to do a job like that, to be a surveyor, to be, whatever you want to be. And you can be leaps and bounds ahead of them before they're even in the market. So you could have a house already, you could already have cars, you could already be in a place of financial like comfortability without, having to put yourself through thousands of pounds worth of debt and torture to get there. I think that's the crazy thing at the minute. I think the system's broke as regards to
It
that.
is.
And I
And
think,
I think having a degree is great. But at the same time, like I know there's a few jobs. So I used to go to an airfield and volunteer, and it was like fixing up old planes and stuff. I didn't do an awful lot of that side
yeah,
because I didn't know a lot about it. But I'd help out here and there. And a few people that I was friends with at the time, they went and knew a lot. And I really enjoyed it. So I looked into like jobs and degrees doing like that sort of stuff, like airplane mechanics, whatever it's called, aerospace engineering or whatever.
yeah.
And it was all paper based work. There was no hands on stuff. And I asked them, is it worth having this? And they were like, no, because they know people that have done those degrees and then come to the airfield. So they've passed, they've got really good marks, whatever. They come to the airfield and they see an actual airplane and they have no idea what to do. Because on paper they know, right, okay, so this is how the engine works, this is how this works, but they've never seen one.
And they've never been
So having
hands
that degree
on.
is fine. Yeah, you know what to do, but you put them in front of something, they don't know how to do it. Like you can go into a job with a great degree, but actually knowing something and then actually doing something are two very different things.
I agree. I agree. And I think that's some of the things that are obviously making it very difficult for people nowadays. Because even when they're getting these
Mm.
big high end jobs, sometimes they have to start literally. I know obviously this is a form of exaggeration, but like in the paper room, they start at the lowest end of the job. So they work to try and get these £70,000 a year salary jobs, £80,000 a year salary jobs. But they've still got to then work 10 years before they can even have that job,
Yeah.
even when they've got all the qualifications to do it as well. So it's
Like
like,
I know like the subjects that I'm quite interested in, and jobs that I've wanted to go into. And I've done like home study courses. So obviously I'm out of work at the minute. And instead of just wasting the time, I've signed up for courses that were like free online ones. There was some like that the Open University did that were like sort of like starter courses. There was some that I've paid for. And like one of them, and a subject that's always really interested me, ADHD, Asperger's, and autism in children.
Yeah, interesting thing to be a part of.
And things like selective, it's a different course, but there was things like, it was a child psychology course mainly, but it had like little subsections, and it was like selective mutism and, you know, kids that have been through some shit, basically.
Yeah.
That side of stuff has always really interested me. And I know, you know, quite a bit about these types of things because it interests me. I do the research, I look into it. I've read books like that were written by people who did these jobs and whatever. I think I know more than the average person who's not really interested in it. But I also know, as good as my knowledge is on the subject, if I went into a classroom with an autistic child or a child with ADHD, actually being hands-on with them, I don't think I'd manage that. I'd know what to do, I'd know what not to do. But actually doing it, I know for a fact I'd be useless at that job.
Yeah, because applying it and then actually knowing it and applying it is two different things. Completely different things. And that's the same in any type of job, regardless of what it is. Knowing the ideas of it and then actually applying them are obviously two completely different things and two completely different subjects, you know, on their own.
Yeah. And this is why I hate the jobs thing, saying you've got to have this much experience and this much, like the experience side, great, but you can't get the experience without having the experience.
Correct. Someone's
And
got
at
to
the
give you
same
the
time,
opportunity.
you say, you know, you've got to have a degree. Why? Because if you're saying you want someone with 5 years experience and a degree, but someone applies and they've got 7 years experience, or they just have knowledge on the subject but have never worked in it, but they don't have a degree, how do you know that person's not going to be better than the one that does have the degree?
Yeah, what about
You've
them?
got to give them a chance.
Yeah, what about
At
them
least interview them.
with the degree but have no experience? It's
Yeah.
like, you can't win because you still need the experience to start the job off. You know, someone's got to give you that opportunity to get going, and if they don't give you that opportunity, then you're just stuck in the mud completely.
Yeah. There's so
Completely.
many jobs I've applied for that I'm very confident that I would be able to do to a very good standard,
Yeah.
and that I'd really do well at. But I don't even get an interview because I don't have the experience, I don't have the qualifications. But I'm like, I guarantee whoever you hired, I'd do better than them. I'll put money on it.
And I think that's the thing that more employers need to start doing. And I think that's something that they need to start obviously putting into mind with people as well. But that does draw us to the end of what has been an interesting episode, talking about TV shows, movies, life, jobs, and everything in between. So,
I
well,
I don't want to do the same thing over and over again, but I feel like we keep saying, let's do these younger years things. We do a little bit and then we just move on somehow. And then the time runs out. I want to come back to this. I want to do a full segment on this.
We will come back to this in another episode in the future.
I've got so many stories, and I'm sure you do too.
I do. I have a mixture of stories. Somewhere there'll be a bit more heavy hitting and a bit more depressing in that sound. But I think they're all for the right podcast at the right time. And there'll be interesting stories for people to hear, as well as, you know, it's all got to be done in one. So there will be at some point, I assume, something where it's a bit heavy hitted versus the light-heartedness that we normally go for. But that will kind of taper into one, I think, and I think it's best to keep that under one roof instead of being Debbie Downers.
Well, I think what may work is we do that maybe in a few weeks' time. We come up with some stories, see which ones we think would be good to talk about. But in the meantime, if we do this in, say, 3-4 weeks,
Yep.
you know, people watching this, people in the comments, let us know your stories and we'll read a few out.
Please do.
If you want them to be anonymous, we do have an email address. if they come through to the email, we'll assume, you don't want your name read out, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And if you're happy to share in the comments, do that, and we'll pick the best ones.
You can also...
Let's get you guys involved as well.
Yeah, you can also DM us on Twitter, and you can ask
Yeah.
it to be anonymous as well. We wouldn't say anything about it. We'll just leave it at that. More than happy to obviously get you guys involved with anything that we do in the future.
Do. But we want to hear embarrassing stories, funny stories, maybe some sad stories,
Everything
something you want to
in
get off your
between.
chest, confessions, stuff that you've never admitted to. What did you do when you were younger that you shouldn't have,
Damn.
that you feel like now it's time to come clean?
It's time.
Let us know.
It's time. But from me and from Ellie, I want to say thank you again for tuning in to us, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Bye, guys.